Have you ever? Have you ever met someone briefly but felt like you'd known them for a very long time? Have you ever felt a strange warmth in your heart just from talking to them or seeing their smile? And have you ever felt the world suddenly go silent on the day you parted? Many people in the world have experienced these feelings, the feeling called love. Love that arises unexpectedly, love that sometimes we don't even know when it began. But sometimes, love doesn't end with being together. Sometimes, love is simply the encounter itself. The Buddha, because of merit, and some people were parents in past lives, some were friends, siblings, or life partners, and some may have helped and supported each other. Some people come into our lives to teach us something, some come to help us grow. It came into our lives to help us understand love better. This story may sound sad to many, because the human heart is fickle. When we love someone, we want them to stay with us forever. We want that happiness to last forever. But the reality of life is that everything in this world is impermanent. The Buddha called this anicca. Feelings are impermanent. Relationships are impermanent. Even love itself is impermanent. Today they may be by our side, but one day they may have to leave. It's not because anyone is at fault. It's not because the love wasn't genuine, but because of various factors. Life's twists and turns are not the same for everyone. Some are fortunate enough to love each other but lack the destiny to walk the path to the end, resulting in a form of love that is called love without a life together. This kind of love doesn't mean failure, nor does it mean it's worthless. On the contrary, it might be the most beautiful kind of love, because at least once in our lives, we met someone who made our hearts race, someone who showed us what true love is. Even if in the end we didn't walk the path together, sometimes their role in our lives may not be that of a life partner. But it was a life lesson. And we understand the realities of the world better, because ultimately, the most important thing in love may not be possession, but the fact that we once truly loved someone and were truly loved by someone. Even if one day we have to walk different paths, the good memories will always remain in our hearts. And perhaps this is the true meaning of the saying, good fortune presented, but not destiny to possess. However, there are many other interesting perspectives on this kind of love. In particular, it explains why some people are destined to meet but not be together. In the next part, we will gradually gain a deeper understanding of this topic. Why does love sometimes come to teach us not to stay with us? Part 2: The cause of their encounter according to the principle of karma. Have you ever wondered, why is it that in a world with millions and billions of people, we miraculously meet some? Some are hundreds or thousands of kilometers away, yet we eventually have the opportunity to know each other. Some are complete strangers, but after only a short conversation, we feel a close connection as if we've known each other for a long time. In Buddhist philosophy, this is called karma. The Buddha taught that every encounter in life has a cause and effect. Nothing happens by chance. No one enters our lives without a reason. Everything is a result of past karma we have shared together. In the teachings of the Buddha, the word karma does not refer to something mysterious or frightening. Karma means action, whether it be physical action, verbal speech, or even mental thought. When we do something, things always leave traces, and over time those traces will come back to haunt us. That's why the people we meet in life are often those with whom we were connected in a past life. Some people may have helped and supported each other in the past, while others may have loved each other deeply before. When past good deeds bear fruit, we meet again. But meeting again doesn't mean we have to be together forever, because besides good deeds, life also involves something called fate or destiny. You are the cause of the good deeds we have done together, and good fortune is the factor that will allow our lives to continue together. Some couples are blessed with a connection, which is why they meet, love, and form this bond. Therefore, they cannot reach the same destination. This may sound like fate, but in reality, it is simply the result of causal factors. Consider a seed. If that seed has good soil, enough water, and the right sunlight, it will grow into a beautiful tree. But if certain factors are lacking, no matter how good the seed is, it may not be able to grow fully. Human love is similar. Some couples have genuine love for each other, but life comes with many conditions. Some people are forced to separate because of responsibilities, some because of family, and some have to let go because their schedules don't align. All of this doesn't mean the love wasn't real, but rather that life's circumstances weren't conducive. Many, when faced with such situations, often ask themselves, why us? Why can't we love each other? But if viewed through a spiritual lens, the answer might not be about mistakes. Sometimes, it's simply a chapter in life, a lesson that teaches us what we've done. Some people come into our lives to teach us the meaning of caring. Some to teach us the meaning of sacrifice, and some to teach us the meaning of letting go. Even though our hearts may ache at the time, as time passes, we begin to understand that those encounters were not in vain, because they taught us things we may never have understood before. Some leave behind beautiful memories, some make us stronger, and some, even if they don't, leave us behind. Even though we were together, you will always remain a cherished memory deep in our hearts. This is why the Buddha taught us to understand the truth of life. Because when we understand that everything happens according to cause and effect, we can begin to let go more. We won't cling to what's gone, and we'll appreciate what remains. Sometimes, someone entering our lives may not be meant to stay forever. They may come only for a beautiful moment, a short but meaningful time. And when the time comes to part, what we cherish may not be sadness, but gratitude. Gratitude for once having walked into our lives and touched our hearts. We have learned the meaning of love, but there is another aspect of love that, when it ends in separation, causes many the most pain. The heart still loves deeply. But in the end, we had to let him go. In the next episode, we'll discuss in depth why sometimes, even when our hearts are full of love, we ultimately have to let them go. Part 3. When your heart still loves, but you have to let go. Have you ever experienced that? I once loved someone so much that I thought it would be wonderful to be with them for the rest of my life. But then one day, life led us down different paths. It wasn't because the love was gone, or because anyone was at fault, but because life's circumstances made it impossible for us to be together. This kind of love is often the most painful. If the love is gone, parting might not be difficult, but when love is still full of emotion and you have to let go, it becomes a memory that is both beautiful and deeply painful at the same time. Many people have experienced this. Some may still vividly remember the last day they spoke, the last day they saw their smile, or even the last words before parting. Everything remains vividly in my memory. And sometimes, no matter how much time passes, my heart still finds itself thinking of him. In Buddhist teachings, the Buddha taught that most human suffering arises from attachment. When we love someone, we often think they belong to us, we want them to stay with us, we want them to be ours alone. But the reality of life is that no one truly belongs to anyone. Everyone is the owner of their own life. We have the opportunity to walk the same path for a while. But that doesn't mean we have to walk together for the rest of our lives, like some passengers on a train. They boarded the train with us, we talked and laughed together. But when it reached their station, they had to get off. Even though we wanted them to stay, the train of life cannot stop just because of our feelings. Love is the same. Some people come into our lives to journey with us for a while, and when the time comes to part ways, we must accept that reality. Letting go of someone we love is not easy. The human heart wants to hold on, wants everything to stay the same, but sometimes letting go is a form of love itself. True love isn't about forcing someone to stay with us, but about wishing them happiness even if one day they're no longer by our side. In Buddhist terms, this is called true loving kindness, metta. Metta is wishing the well-being of others without expecting to possess them. When we love someone with loving kindness, we don't want to see them suffer. Even though letting go may be painful, if it allows them to have a better life, sometimes letting go is the best option. Many people may find this difficult to understand. It's too much because the human heart isn't always strong. Some nights we still think about it. Some days we still find ourselves revisiting old messages. Sometimes we might even ask ourselves if things would have changed if we had done things differently that day. But the truth is, life doesn't go back. What has happened is in the past. What we can do is gradually learn to accept it. There's no need to rush to forget. No need to rush to become strong. Just gradually understand that love wasn't a mistake in life. It might just be one chapter and we learn that even if love doesn't end in marriage, it can still remain a beautiful memory. Some people have passed away, but they remain important in our memories. Some people are no longer with us, but they remain in our good prayers, and perhaps this is another form of love, a love that doesn't possess. Sometimes unrequited love doesn't mean we're lacking in merit, but rather that life is leading us to learn something greater. Part 4. Have you ever noticed? Sometimes, the people we love most in life aren't the ones who stay by our side until the very end. On the other hand, there are people who actually stay with us. They might not be the person we love the most at first. This kind of thing happens to so many people in the world that many can't help but wonder why life is like this. Some people once loved each other deeply, sharing both smiles and tears and dreaming of a future together. We had planned our lives together, but in the end, we went our separate ways. As time passed, people moved on with their lives. Some married others, some started new families, but deep down in their hearts, the memories of someone else always remained. In a spiritual sense, the Buddha taught that human life is not determined solely by feelings. Many factors determine a person's life together, and love is just one of them. For two people to live together, many things must come together, not just love, but also time, environment, family responsibilities, and past karma. Some couples have a deep love but their lives are filled with obstacles. The couple's relationship didn't start with an intense love, because married life is not just a matter of the heart, but it's about traveling together. Some people in our lives may be destined to be simply the people we love most. Instead, it's the people who are by our side through every moment of life. First love is often meaningless. On the contrary, it might be a beautiful love, but it might be a love that comes to teach us to understand our own hearts. Sometimes, the person we love the most is the one who makes us grow the most. He might be the one who teaches us the meaning of sacrifice, forgiveness, and letting go. Over time, we begin to understand that love doesn't have just one form. Some forms of love are about being together. Some loves are about caring for each other, and some loves are about keeping each other in our hearts. The Buddha taught that suffering often arises when we want things to be the way we want them to be. We want the people we love to be with us forever. We want our love to remain unchanged. But the reality of the world is that everything is constantly changing. When we begin to understand this truth, our hearts will gradually lighten. We will start to look at love with gentler eyes. We won't see past relationships as failures, but rather as moments in life, moments that were once very meaningful. Sometimes, the person we didn't end up with may be the most beautiful person in our memories, because memories tend to retain only the beautiful things. Laughter, smiles, and small conversations on ordinary days, these things will always remain in our hearts. Perhaps this kind of love is the purest, because it's not bound by expectations. Not destroyed by the conflicts of married life. It's simply a beautiful, quiet memory deep in our hearts. Yet, one question many wonder, if we still think of him, if the memories are still vivid, what should we do with our hearts? Should we keep him in our hearts, or should we try to forget him? Chapter 5. Letting go of love with understanding according to Buddhist principles. Have you ever tried to forget someone, only to think of them more? Some people try not to think about them, try not to talk about them, try not to look back at old memories, but in the end, their hearts still can't help but think of them. His laughter, his smile, the moments we walked side by side, everything remains vividly in our memories. Many people begin to question themselves. What should we do with these feelings? Should we try to forget him completely, or should we keep him in our hearts? In the teachings of the Buddha, there is a very important word: letting go. However, many people often misunderstand letting go as forgetting everything. In reality, letting go is not forgetting. Letting go is understanding the true nature of things. When we understand that everything in this world is impermanent, we begin to accept that some people come into our lives only for a short time, not forever, just like the seasons of nature. The rainy season passes, the winter season passes, the summer season passes as well. No season lasts forever. Human love is the same. Some loves are beautiful but don't last, while others last but aren't as passionate. When we understand this, our hearts will begin to find peace. We won't try to force the past to return, and we won't blame ourselves for what happened. Many people, when a relationship ends, always prison themselves, thinking they weren't good enough, thinking they did something wrong. But in reality, sometimes it's not a matter of fault. It's just a matter of timing and circumstances. Two people may be both good people and genuinely in love, but life may take them in different directions. When we understand this, we can begin to forgive ourselves. We don't need to erase all memories, and we don't need to pretend nothing ever happened. We can keep those memories, but keep them with a calm heart, not with pain. Keep them like a photograph from our lives. Images that once made us smile, even after so much time has passed, still evoke feelings of gratitude when we look back at those moments. The Buddha taught that the greatest suffering for humans is not loss itself, but the refusal to accept the reality of loss. When we accept that something must go, the suffering gradually lessens. We may still miss them sometimes, but that longing will no longer torment us. It will become just a gentle memory, like an old song that once brought good feelings. Even though I don't listen to it every day, hearing it again still warms my heart. Love is similar. Some people are no longer in our lives, but they remain a part of our story. And that's perfectly fine. Everyone we've met has played some role in our lives. Some made us laugh, some made us cry, and some helped us understand life better. Looking back, we begin to see that even unrequited love has its own value. It allows our hearts to grow, helps us understand others better, and makes us appreciate true love. Sometimes, letting go doesn't mean walking away, but rather smiling at the past, smiling at the memories, smiling at the moments we once shared, and then slowly moving forward. Because life has many more stories waiting for us, and perhaps the right person will come along when our hearts are ready again. But before we take the first step towards a new love, there is one very important thing. That's learning to love yourself. In the next part, we'll discuss why unrequited love is often the starting point for discovering the worth of our own hearts. Part 6. Have you ever experienced a past love followed by a renewed discovery of your own worth? After a relationship ended, I suddenly felt that life became strangely quiet. The same places we used to go together, some songs we used to listen to together, or even just ordinary moments in each day. Instead, it leaves the heart feeling empty. Some people have had someone before. I keep asking how she is doing every day. But then one day he was gone. Silence, therefore, has become something we must learn to live with. This is often the time when many people feel most vulnerable. Because my heart is not yet accustomed to walking alone. Some people begin to question themselves. Why did this love story end like this? These questions often linger in my mind. But from a Buddhist perspective, during times of heartbreak like these, a very important time in life, because it's a time that allows us to reflect on ourselves. Throughout the time we love someone, our hearts always turn to him. We want to make him happy. Sometimes we may forget that we ourselves have hearts that need taking care of too. But when that love ends, we start to look at ourselves again. We begin to ask ourselves, what kind of life do we really want to live? And what is it that truly makes our hearts happy? The Buddha taught that true happiness doesn't always depend on having someone by your side, but on having peace of mind within yourself. Even when we're alone, we can still feel fulfilled with life. Many people, after experiencing unrequited love, become stronger. Some start taking better care of themselves. Some begin pursuing their passions, and some gain a deeper understanding of life because the pain of the past has taught their hearts valuable lessons. It teaches us that love isn't everything in life, and life doesn't stop just because someone leaves. The world keeps spinning, and a new day always arrives. And our lives always have value. Sometimes, past loves don't come to stay forever, but they guide us to the next stage of life's growth, like a teacher who imparts an important lesson. Once we learn that lesson, they leave. But what they taught remains with us forever. Love is the same. Even though the person is no longer in our lives, the lessons from that experience continue to make us better people. Some learn to be stronger, some learn to forgive, and some learn to love themselves. If we take good care of our own hearts, we won't fear loneliness, we won't feel like something is missing in life. And when a new love enters our lives, we won't love because of fear of being alone, but because our hearts are filled with warmth. This kind of love is often the most beautiful and lasting because it doesn't stem from lack, but from perfect balance. However, even after understanding everything, there are still times when old feelings of longing may return, especially on quiet nights or during online moments. Part 7. When longing returns, have you ever experienced that on some quiet nights? Suddenly, someone popped into our thoughts, even though a long time had passed. Despite all that, our lives go on. But some memories remain as vivid as if they happened yesterday. Sometimes it's just a small image, like his smile. Sometimes it's a brief conversation we had on an ordinary day. Or sometimes it's a time when we were happy together. This feeling of nostalgia happens to many people, even after we try to move on, even after we've started new lives. But some memories linger in many people's hearts, leading them to worry that continuing to think about someone means they haven't let go. In reality, thinking about someone doesn't always mean you're stuck in the past. Every human being has memories, and those memories are a part of our life story. The Buddha taught that the important thing is not to try to erase thoughts, but it is about being aware of the thought when it arises, simply acknowledging it. There's no need to push it away or resist it. Like a cloud drifting across the sky, it may come and eventually pass by. If we try to push it away, it might just keep lingering in my mind. But if we simply acknowledge it without clinging to the thought, it will gradually fade away on its own. This is the principle called mindfulness. Mindfulness is being aware of the present moment. When we are mindful, we don't dwell on the past and we don't worry about the future. We should simply acknowledge what our hearts are feeling right now. If we're thinking of someone, just acknowledge that we're thinking of them. Don't blame yourself and don't force yourself to forget, because the more we force our hearts, the more tired we become. In reality, missing someone isn't something to be afraid of. It's just a sign that we once had meaningful moments, that we once had someone who made our hearts happy, and that's a beautiful thing. Beautiful, some people are gone, but they remain a part of our memories, like a chapter in a book. Even though we've read through it, the story in that chapter remains part of the whole book. The important thing is that we don't have to reread the same chapter. We can still turn to the next page of life and write a new story. The Buddha taught that human life is like a river. A river never stops, it always flows forward. If we try to hold on to the river, we will only become weary. But if we learn to let it flow, we will begin to see the beauty of the journey. Past loves are like that river. At one point, they flowed through our lives and made those times beautiful. Even though they have passed, they are still a part of the river of our lives. Therefore, if one day longing returns, just smile gently at the memories and tell yourself, "Thank you for the times we had." Then turn back to the present, to the life that is moving forward. Because there are many more stories waiting for us to discover. And perhaps along the way, we may find a new kind of love, a love that doesn't just teach us, but comes to walk alongside us for a long time. Episode 8. When the heart begins to open up to love again. Have you ever experienced heartbreak after a painful love affair? We often tell ourselves that some people close off their hearts tightly, unwilling to let anyone in again. Just like before, this feeling is understandable. When your heart has been broken, it takes time to heal, just as a wound on the body needs time to recover. But the Buddha taught that human life does not stop in the past. No matter how important what has passed, life still has the present and the future always awaits. Some people, after experiencing unrequited love, become more understanding of love because they have learned that love is not just about a sweet feeling, but about understanding, patience, and caring. When our hearts mature from past experiences, we begin to understand that lasting love doesn't always have to be flashy. Sometimes it can start with simplicity, comfortable conversations, understanding listening, and being there for each other on ordinary days. The right person to travel with might not be the one who makes your heart race the most, but he is the one who brings the most peace to my heart. But there is a lack of understanding. When our hearts are ready to love with understanding, to care for each other with kindness, and to accept the realities of life, a new love that comes our way is often calmer and more stable. It may not be as exciting as the first time, but it will be a warm love, like a home that makes us feel safe. And perhaps, when that day comes, we will look back on our past loves with a gentle smile, because we will understand that previous loves did not ruin our lives, but were lessons that led us to this point. A point where our hearts understand love more than before. However, even if we find new love in the future, there is one most important thing that the Buddha always taught: maintaining peace of mind. Because no matter how beautiful love may be, if our hearts are not at peace, it will be meaningless. Suffering may arise again, my dear listeners. Throughout our conversation, we can see that love in human life doesn't take just one form. Some loves are beautiful and last a lifetime, but some, no matter how beautiful, may not end in marriage. Many, when faced with such events, feel sad, regretful, and question life, wondering why they had to experience this. But if we look through the lens of Dharma, we begin to understand that the meeting of two people is not a coincidence, it is the result of merit and karma they have shared in the past. Some people have a karmic connection that allows them to meet, love, and form a bond. But those who do not have a destiny together cannot reach the same destination. This is why there is merit that leads to a meeting, but not destiny that leads to a union. However, a love that doesn't end in togetherness doesn't necessarily mean it's a failure. On the contrary, it might be a very meaningful love because it teaches us something valuable in life. It teaches us about giving without expecting anything in return, about letting go, and helps us understand the realities of life better. Some people come into our lives to make us laugh, The past is not something we must try to forget, but rather a memory that once gave meaning to our lives. We can keep it in our hearts without carrying the pain, cherishing it with gratitude. We will simply smile at those memories, because life still has many more stories waiting for us. In this world, no encounter is meaningless. Every meeting is a life lesson. And even though some people may not be with us forever, they have always been a part of our life story. If you found this content helpful, please don't forget to like, share,